Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Blades Banner, Season 2, Episode 2 with Coach Thornblade and me, Rob Thornblade. Pretty excited to be back after a Fresno State win. 30-10, Michigan pulled out and ended the game with, interception to the house by our great player, Johnson. So it was a great day for Michigan, great Saturday, great way to start out the season. How you doing, Coach? And what'd you think of the game? Tell me a little bit of your analysis, and we'll kind of talk about breakdowns and what happened and what we can improve on.
Well, I think it was a great win. People should not minimize that program and what they've done at Fresno State. They've won 9 games for the last 4 years. And they have an outstanding quarterback. Now, I think we could have capitalized on some things. We made some mistakes. Of course, the old coaching adage is you make your greatest improvement between the first and second games. And there were a lot of mistakes out there. But the first thing you do as a coach is you review the film aggressively, and you point out those mistakes and you correct them. So there's things that can be corrected. All teams approach it the same way. The first thing I did is walk through game mistakes. And I emphasized the mistakes because it's Bear Bryant. They went to Bear Bryant one time and said, "Coach Bryant, you're a great coach. You never make mistakes." He goes, "Oh no, I make a lot of mistakes. What I never do is I never repeat mistakes." And so that has to be your approach as a coach and as a player. You correct those mistakes and you get better. As my old coach said 10 times a day, you never stay the same. You either get better or you get worse. So let's get better. Let's spend a day getting better. Yeah. So they have a week under the belt. And they had a pretty good challenge. I do not think, and it doesn't appear to me, that Texas experienced the same kind of the same caliber of opponent. Not to diminish Colorado State, who went into Austin, Texas, and got beat 52-0 by the leading quarterback and quarterback that's expected to be one of the first players picked in next year's draft. But these two programs are vaunted programs with great histories. And it's exciting that they come together. People have been looking forward to this game for a long time. So the one thing I will say about Michigan is that was a withering defense. I have not seen speed. I believe in last year we were fabulous. The last couple of years, I have not seen speed in a front seven like this in college football in a long time. I mean, we have some extraordinary talent up there. And that kid, Kenny, was under tremendous duress. And the ball comes out fast. Now, Ewers gets the ball out fast. And he throws on rhythm, and he throws on timing, and he'll throw prior to the break. But he's going to be challenged. We had 3 sacks, but I don't know how many hurries we had. Texas had 0 against Colorado State, 0 sacks. Now, the way that game, they got ahead early, and that game was over in the first half. Much different than our game, which was a contest all the way through. But to Michigan's great credit, they came through with a rookie quarterback. And now one of my favorite players made a big difference, Dominic Zvada. And I had talked about him, the transfer from Arkansas State, and he is money. He is money, like the kids say. That kid is extraordinary leg. And so the question is now, and can you play great defense with extraordinary talent in the front seven and in the backs? Really have a great kicking program, great kickers, a great punter, and a great field goal kicker, and have an evolving offense and beat the number 3 team in the country, who is going to come in here and throw the ball with a quarterback that is extraordinary. The ball's going to come out fast. Now, he's going to get hit. I will guarantee you that Coach Martindale is coming after him And I think the statistic was he brought more than 59% of the time, Rob.
Yeah.
59% of the time. So he's an aggressive defensive coach, and he's seen great quarterbacks.
Well,
And he in the NFL, and he knows how to take great quarterbacks off their game.
and they were
They have
switching.
two good transfer receivers, but they lost two great receivers, first-round draft picks, or one in the first round, the other early in the second. Xavier Worthy, who I thought was extraordinary talent, was first-round talent.
Lightning
So
fast.
it's a great matchup. It's a great matchup.
No, it was great to see. There was a couple things evident. Obviously, the thing you said first that stood out to me is our kick game. With our kick game with that kicker Zvada, the transfer, he's lights out. He's ice in his veins. He's everything. That was beautiful to see his first game coming into Big House and playing like that. Our front seven.
I think his longest was 56 yards.
Yeah,
that is. He's a weapon.
You would have liked to have that in 1970.
Yeah. Well, we were just a couple kicks away from the whole thing.
Yeah.
But we're not going to go back 50 years.
No.
We're focused on 3 days from now.
But
and in a great contest in the stadium.
The front seven, number one, our linebacker transfer also was an animal. What a
man!
beast.
They're great.
Everybody.
You say animal only in the best.
Yeah.
In that he's an unrelenting player.
Yeah, number 30 played great. Our new linebacker there.
I wore number 30.
I don't know if you know that. I know. He made it look pretty good. We had some new defensive backs that I hadn't seen before play really well. Makari Page obviously stepped up. Josiah Stewart. He was all over the quarterback all day. And then the obvious thing to me was we have an all new offensive line. We have some receivers that haven't played. Over there on like State Street and Main Street players, they haven't played over there on off stadium. And they dropped some balls. And we had two new quarterbacks. You guessed it last week, the two quarterback system. I mean, obviously people were talking about it, but you said it. I didn't think it was going to be as evident. I liked both quarterbacks. Our quarterback Warren, he took care of the ball. He underthrew one that he didn't have a mental error. The kid was open. He had a physical error, which can be fixed.
We're talking about Orgy.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about
Davis.
Davis Warren is his long pick right on our when he was about to throw a touchdown. It was a long ball.
He needed to throw that ball a little further out.
But that was a physical error. It wasn't a mental error. The guy was wide open. It was a great play.
I think there were a few, and I'm not a quarterback, guy, but it is a technical position. There's a reason people have quarterback coaches, like pitching coaches.
Yeah.
Technique and so important. And I think there were a couple of times he might have thrown off his back foot, but I think he did a good time. I think he did a good job. Yeah.
It's hard to step in those throws when those D linemen are coming right at you. When we have our offensive line, they, as tough as they were, they had some protection issues when people slide into the right guy. There were some people coming free when they shouldn't have been. When they were only rushing 4. And that's just going to come with them playing together. When bullets are live. And
I saw what Preeb said. Our right guard, the player was Big Ten player from Northwestern that transferred, and he said the mistakes we made are correctable, and we are correcting them, and we feel good about it.
Yeah,
I think they made some substitutions, the coaches, during the course of the game, and then at the end, and with Coach Moore, it's a war of attrition. He just beats you up. At the end, the offensive line and Mullings took the ball down the field to win the game.
Well, we still rushed. He almost rushed for 100 yards. Donovan Edwards, everyone wants him to hit the home run every time, but he ran the ball hard in between the tackles.
Well, he caught that touchdown pass, and those passes into the flat. When you run into the flat like that, it appears to be an easy catch, and Orgy did a beautiful job putting it there. That's not necessarily an easy catch, and he caught the touchdown pass. I have no problem with Donovan Edwards, Mullings. This Hall kid, I saw Tony Alford, our running back coach, said he feels bad he didn't get Hall in because he deserves to play. And so we have 3 good running backs.
Yeah.
The offensive line has to come together. They cannot make mistakes. 148 yards rushing will not win this game.
No.
Now, I might mention, Robbie, that Fresno State had 9 yards rushing, 9 against our defense. You are not going to win games rushing for 9 yards. You are not going to win games. And our football is not built on rushing for 148 yards. By the same token, we got to complete some intermediate passes. Those are passes in between 10, 15, and 30 yards in the intermediate zone. And I think some players came open. And Davis Warren just didn't make those throws. Of course, we have the best tight end in the country, and he's going to get a lot of attention this week, which should allow some of those other guys to have single coverage and get open. And then I think we need to do a lot of play action stuff. If you're going to beat Michigan, you better defend the run. And so if we do play action on run pass downs, I think we'll hold the linebackers in there, and we'll be able to get some kids in the intermediate zone and those dig routes where you come over the middle and complete some passes. And we're going to have to bail ourselves out in some third down situations. Well, we're going against a great team with a great quarterback with a wonderful coach who is a passing coach. And that should be interesting, too. That does not mean they are not a physical team. Historically, when you get a pass-happy coach, the teams aren't as physical. They become more finesse-oriented. That is not the way it is with Sarkisian. This is Texas.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very physical game.
But I'm just telling you, if Davis Warren takes care of the ball, doesn't make mistakes, we have a good kick game, and our defense plays like it does, we'll be okay. Also, I'm
not conceding anything. We are the defending national champions.
Yeah.
We are 3-time Big Ten champions. Texas is coming in our stadium. It's up to them to prove to us that they can beat us. This is the University of Michigan. I'm not too concerned about it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I also like Alex Orji. They only threw him twice. He has one touchdown, and he threw one in the dirt, but he's still running really good. He's getting his confidence. I think that we have a more extensive package with him that maybe we didn't need to run against Fresno State. That it is quite possible that he is still developing quarterback and that his package will expand this week. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Here's what I like a lot of things about Coach Moore. A lot. I like his the way he conducts himself on the sideline. He is calm. He is in control. He is determined. He encourages the players. At halftime, when everybody's very upset because we weren't blowing out a very fine Fresno State team, and anybody who expected that to happen in the first game was incorrect in making that assumption. He said, we're doing good things. We have to correct some mistakes. I'm happy with the way the quarterbacks are playing, and we'll look forward to the second half. We'll get in, make some corrections, and get going. I like Moore, and Moore believes he's patient. He's a patient coach. He's not going to panic. He's not going to say, well, they stopped us. We got to throw the ball every play now. He's not going to do that. He's not going to deviate from his fundamental beliefs. That's control the line of scrimmage, run the ball effectively, and throw the ball, throw some long passes, certainly. And I do think, Rob, if they fake into give the ball to the tailback and he throws it back to the quarterback, we could hit a post on these guys. Yeah. We can do things like that. We can, mix things up, and we've done that in the past. And certainly that's probably part of our package. He wasn't ready to employ that in the first game. Trick plays would be something that I hope we can employ a little bit. I always like those, and I think the kids have fun with it. And sometimes it could be effective. It certainly was last year several times. So look, the offense has to come along. That was not a dominant offensive performance. But are there good things there? Yes. Are there a lot of things happening and evolving? Yes. Everybody wants to go through these colleges right now, these schools, and they want to re-rate them. They want to do different ratings, and they want to talk about who's going to be the 12 teams and drop people out. But Oregon had a tough game with Idaho.
Yeah.
Oregon's got a great team. Do not think that Oregon is not going to be great. SC had a tremendous performance against LSU. But don't think that they're impregnable.
Notre Dame beat Texas A&M.
That's right.
Florida State has lost twice, and Coach Norvell he's not happy, but he's not going to go out there and roll over for the rest of the season.
No,
I mean,
Florida, they're gonna recoup.
yeah.
So what we have here is a gifted quarterback. I mean, a gifted player who makes $1.7 million, and his backup makes 3.1. That's what we got there. Now, I'm glad I don't have to manage that situation. Arch Manning, who's, I'm sure, a wonderful player, but if I'm the starting quarterback at Texas for the last couple of years, Heisman Trophy candidate, this guy's making $1.4 million more than me. Anyway, those numbers are to me unfathomable. I can't put my arms around that. How you manage that? I don't know if it's good for the kids, or I think kids should be compensated, but it's craziness. But Coach, we got these kids coming in.
Coach, just because you're talking about this, I saw this thing on Twitter where the players all lined up their Lamborghinis and their Ferraris and all their stuff outside of Texas's facility on the way for the kids to walk in and look at all the players' cars. So that's pretty crazy. Probably, and the coaches are probably all driving Ford F-150s and stuff like that.
Well, the coaches are well compensated, and I'm not against that.
At Texas, they're doing all right.
I don't know if you need a Ferrari when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. I don't know if that's the best thing.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe too much too soon, and people are given too much too soon, not just in as it relates to NIL. And I think there's something like 1.7 billion in NIL money out there. It's insanity. It truly is, and it's not in the best interest of the kids. So, I mean, I'm sure the kids are proud of their fancy cars, but I think that's sort of conspicuous consumption. There's nothing wrong with a good truck, nothing wrong with a good Ford F-150.
No, that's what I drive.
Nothing wrong with that. And I like my little Honda truck, and that's all I need. And I don't need to be driving around in Rolls Royce or Ferrari. But I suppose, it's kind of a shame.
It's recruiting, Coach. It's just recruiting.
It's not helping the kids. Yeah. That's a whole different topic. And I will say this. After the game, Orgy and Davis Warren embraced. And they have each other's backs. They love each other. It's a healthy competition. And Sharon used them beautifully. Orgy was really effective when he came in.
Oh, he was great, yeah.
And they got a lot to handle. And so everybody's going to assume he's not going to throw the ball. Now, he made a nice pass. He threw one on the ground, but he made a very nice pass. That touchdown pass was a nice choice, and he did a good job. But so they're going to prepare for that, which puts stress on the defense. And then they're going to make the assumption that he will not pass and can't pass effectively. He's been taking every other snap and throwing the ball all summer, all spring, all fall. So we'll see. I don't think you can make that assumption. By the same token, they got a heck of a defense to block. Wow. I'm telling you, those two guys up front, Mason Graham is, one of my favorite players in the history of Michigan.
Coach,
wears 55.
The way he strings out zone and he strings right down the line of scrimmage, he takes two guys, he passes over one, and then he throws his elbow back and rolls back in right into the running back for a tackle for loss.
This is in the highest praise I give him, Rob, is he reminds me of Aaron Donald. Honest to God.
It's unbelievable, man.
He is a gifted. And then the other kid, Grant, he is a man.
Oh,
I mean, and then you have these inside backers that can run and hit, The kid Barnum is really unbelievable player. I mean, so they have a lot to contend with. And Ewers will not. Now, the ball comes out fast, but he's going to get sacked. I'll guarantee you, they're prepared for max protect. How are they going to handle it?
Well, you saw.
Are they going to keep their tight end in? What are they going to do? Keep two running backs in? I mean, how are they going to handle it?
They did a good job as a defense disguising who was coming too. A lot of times, they would not show anything and they would bring people. A lot of times they line up with 6 and they bring 5. A lot of times they line up with 6 on the line, they bring nobody. It didn't look sometimes when a linebacker's coming and you go, oh, well, he's not blitzing. This is a bad tell. And our guys were trained up great on how to align, where to align, and when to come and when to show. Showing is so hard to show and be effective. A lot of people do it, but a lot of people move around for no reason. So those linebackers are coached up at an extremely high level. This is NFL stuff, the way they show and come, show and drop off. It's good stuff. So
this Martindale is gifted.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he is a counterpart to Throne. He's under control over there. He knows what's going on. He's anticipating the next play. I mean, he's good. This guy is good. And Sharon did a wonderful thing bringing him in. I think it's just a great asset and bonus to the program. And but I do want to say this, and I don't want the fans. I understood there was a little frustration, even some booing. Now, one of the things we have is I always felt that Michigan is unwavering support, and I hope the fans who have such passion and have such great affection for the team, in the experience, and how we feel about each other, and the university, and the players, does not lose their points. And remember that Michigan football program is more than a sport. There's an emphasis on athletic excellence at Michigan, personal growth, preparing the student athlete for success both on and off the field, and that's who we are. And I want the fans to embrace that, and that's one of the wonderful things about Michigan. Now, Texas is no different. Texas is one of the great schools in the world. It's a wonderful school. And but our school has this wonderful history, and they've put out so many wonderful players, but have gone on to bigger things and better things. And what will be most important is what they do when they're 40, 50 years old, when they're done with football. At the same time, they are ours. These are our guys. These are our kids, and they're going to make mistakes, and we're going to have some. We're going to lose. We might lose a game, God forbid. But we need to stick by the kids, and we need to support them and be proud of who we are. And that's the great fun of it, passion of it, knowing that everybody makes mistakes and there'll be mistakes made. We have a young coach. We got to continue to support him. And we have these young players. We have a quarterback that played his first game that overcame leukemia to get here. He overcame leukemia to be out, and he's taken snaps. And Orgy has overcome all sorts of adversity to fight through and get in position to play quarterback. And those stories are not uncommon among all those young people that are out there playing the game on both sides. So I want the fans to enjoy it, and I want them to have passion, and I want to beat Texas. At 12 o'clock, I want to beat Texas, and I want to win the game. By the same token, I want it to be a great game and sort of maintain, what we're trying, who we are, what we're trying to accomplish. But I think Michigan will show up. And as I mentioned, we are the defending national champions. We have won more football games than any other school in the history of college football. We've won 3 Big Ten championships in a row. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if Texas is good enough to beat us.
You're right, and just I got more stats on that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. It's not a rivalry yet, but Texas, Michigan, what's happened in the programs over the years. But just putting Fresno State to bed. I mean, last week you talked about Sharon Moore's intelligence as an offense, where he could find creases. You could see it how he ran Mullins. We've talked about that. And then just how he motions. Even, the zone away, he's motioning number 3 out of the bunch, and we get a half roll. And that pass, everybody's going this way, and we're coming this way, and we throw an easy touchdown. It's just he is still motioning those guys, getting them in good positions, finding creases, finding the open guy, and he's getting the third down conversions when we need them, when it matters most. Like you said, he's a patient coach. So that's what we did against Fresno State on offense. And then on defense, 9 rushing yards. We gave up a field goal where they completed a really good pass on Will Johnson, who was all over the guy. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, we're playing, basically cover 0 with a quarterback or with our linebacker over the running back. And we are supposed to be inside man technique, and we overshoot it, and the guy turns in and goes in for a touchdown. So physical mistakes or mental mistakes that we can fix. And that's kind of how that game ended. A lot to improve on, like you said. But it was a great Michigan victory. I'm excited to see what he does in this offense with the 2 quarterbacks and how he lines up in motions next game. I think it's people that are watching our offense, watch where we start and watch where we end up and watch who he moves. Who he moves. Is it 44? Is it Loveland? Is it Shamaj? Is it number 0? Morgan? All that stuff changes. It could be the same play, but a different guy's lined up at a different position, and it changes how they run the play. So
yeah. And you were a defensive coach, and you know how difficult that is when they start to move people around on you.
oh man,
And, you know,
if you're not lined up correctly, like you said, if you're not inside technique when you're inside technique, it's a touchdown.
and I think this was a wonderful learning experience. The game was still in the balance with 6 minutes to go, but we won.
Yeah.
And so you know, and you know, there were a couple of horrible officials called.
Oh my
They
God.
called that one, just I mean, a ridiculous call when we bumped that quarterback and he took that dive and then he convinced him. He's a good actor. He got the flag, and then you know, our kid didn't do anything. Their kid's talking to him. And they were just talking. You know, you don't throw I don't know what the conversation was. I assume there might have been some profanity involved, maybe not. But, you know, the 50, 60 yards of penalties, what is that? You know, it's crazy. 30 yards like that when the game was put away. We had to, you know, and we made some great plays on the ball. So, but that game is behind us.
Yeah.
We shall not dwell on it. We will remember the mistakes we made and correct those and be better.
In the history of the Michigan-Texas in college football, we have never played each other in a regular season game. We faced off one time in the Rose Bowl. The game ended up 38-37. Vince Young had an unbelievable game, who I consider probably the best in my lifetime, him, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, a couple guys, but the best college football player I've ever witnessed.
Vince Young is the greatest college football player I've ever seen.
I mean, he is unbelievable. What he did in Texas high school football, then at Texas, and then a little bit in the pros. I mean, what he did against Michigan and in the next year against USC was unbelievable. But, you know, their program started in 1893. We were in 1879. I mean, we've been around forever. We've never played each other. Then the first time we do, it's in the Rose Bowl, granddaddy of them all. We lose by a point at the last second. And now we get to play against them. And, you know, in the past couple years, we have been to the playoffs 3 times. They've been once. We have 12 national championships over our career. They have 4. We have 45 conference championships. They have 33. We have 3 Heismans. They have 2. So we are neck and neck as far as college football lore goes over, you know, since the programs have been started. It's super exciting that their first year in the SEC, the first year of the 12-team playoff, that they get to, and when we're defending national champs, that they come to the big house second week of the season for this type of game. I mean, you know, we always played Notre Dame's week 2, and it was a great game. It's a great rivalry. But just playing Michigan, Texas, week 2 to see where college football's at, man, it's really exciting stuff. I mean, you know, I'm sure you can talk a little bit more about the history of Texas football and what it means, and, you know, versus Michigan too. Like, it's just, I mean, what a matchup, what a Goliath, you know, Goliath versus Goliath, almost in week 2. I mean, what do you feel about it?
Well, there's a reason it's on national TV.
Yeah.
There's been tremendous, people have been looking forward to this game for a long time. Tremendous demand for tickets. It's going to be sold out. There are going to be as many Texans are coming up as can get here, I know, and get in. And you know, it'll be a game that, you know, a nation will be watching, and deservedly so, for all the reasons you just articulated, and did it well. 2 storied traditions, Earl Campbell and all these wonderful players they've had. And then us, you know, the great Woodson and Carter, and, you know, of course, our great Tom Brady, who became the greatest, evolved into the greatest player in professional football history. And that's why when I look at Davis Warren, I see a guy who managed the game well, a guy who has overcome unbelievable odds to be here and to be out on that field. You know, it is one of the greatest stories in college football. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of kids that have come from, tough backgrounds that have worked hard to get where they are. And now they're going to run out in that stadium with 110,000 screaming people. And one of the great matchups of the year. It's one that will define, in many ways, what happens the rest of the season. Now, the great thing is with 12 teams, the loser will not be eliminated. They will not be eliminated from potentially being in the CFP, the college football playoffs. But this thing about where everybody is evaluating every team on the basis of the first game, it's impossible because, first of all, it's difficult to know how good the opponents are. I do not believe Fresno State will lose another game with the schedule that they play, but we will see. It is yet to be proven. And Texas has a way to go. They're in a very difficult, tough league, as are we. And it's a lot of fun right now. I can't wait to see it. We got to stick with our guys. These are the sons of Michigan. We're going to be behind them. We're going to be behind our coaches. And this will be a game that will be hotly contested. And there will be times when things don't look good. And then there'll be times when things are good. As Coach Schembecker would say, we're going to play Ohio State today, and we will lose 12 times. But we will win 13 times, and then the whistle will sound. Then the gun will go off, and we shall prevail. So we're going to play as a team. We have a wonderful culture. We talked about that. We have some of emerging stars, particularly on that defense and that kicker. Wow, that kicker! God bless him. Thank you, Arkansas State. Who will see you, Arkansas State. You'll be able to see his teammates in a week or so.
I mean, think about the transfer portal. Like just that for us it's just insane. And all these kids that are Quentin Ewers that's making plays for Texas that would have had to sit out and maybe would have been competing this year instead of playing last. I mean, the transfer portal has changed everything. I mean, the linebacker that I absolutely love, Barnum, is, I mean, he is so good to see him.
He's something. He's really a great player.
To scrape over top, to get his hands on people and get off blocks. He was in on almost every tackle. He would come underneath, he'd get on top, back on top, and make tackles. He'd go over top, and he would push the pile all the way back. He was always around the ball. I know you pointed him out to me, and I mean, watching him, that was an absolute treat.
I mean, we lost a great linebacker in Colson, but he's more than adequate.
Yeah,
he's a great player, and I want to encourage people to try to look at some of these guys and isolate them on some plays. They'll enjoy it. Yeah. And I always tell people, particularly on the special teams, and I haven't done this yet, I'll try to identify a couple kids that always get to the ball. It's fun to watch them. So
your boy Colazar kid he changed special teams for Jim Harbaugh the past 4 to 5 years. That kid, I know his dad was a great player at Michigan. He was from St. Edwards. He found the ball on every special team, on kickoff, on punt. He was always there. And I just noticed him because of who you know him. But that was one kid we had for a long time.
My coach's father, who was a great player for us. And so it's going to be fun. What a matchup. Now, Sark is the passing what Sharon Moore is to running the ball.
Amen.
Sharon Moore has sophisticated running concepts, and Sark has equally sophisticated passing concepts. That ball is going to come out fast. Ewers throws before the break, so if we're gonna put pressure on, we got to get him, and we got to make him pay. By the same token, we're going to have to be. We can't be, when we're going man to man, we're going to have to be on and play press coverage.
We got to get our hands on receivers, Coach. We got to get our hands. Isaiah Bond is fast. They have speed.
We can't allow them to get separation. By the same token, our wide receivers have to play a vital role in this game and come to the fore.
What would you say to our receivers, Coach? They didn't have a terrible game, but they dropped some balls that hit them right in the hands. What would you bring them in?
Drops are inexcusable.
Yep.
And certainly that's corrected. You can correct it. I think that there were there were some times receivers came open in that mid-level passing when they started to make the break inside. And I think Davis left them too quick. Now, he went a lot to Loveland, which was a smart thing to do. But now he's going to get sandwiched a little bit, Loveland. We'll have to move him around to get him free, which is a good thing.
Well, they rub him a lot. They run mesh and they run a post or a rail behind them, and then they swing the back, which makes the backers expand. So we do some things to get them open now. But
now, one thing I should say about Texas, I mean, they had several pass completions over 30 yards. So the ball will go deep.
Yep.
And, we have to stay on their receivers. We can't allow separation. And we got to climb their backs.
What do you what do you think about us rotating our DBs like Will Johnson? They go, oh, they're rotating our DBs. Will Johnson comes out, then he comes in and he doesn't seem ready for the ball that they could have caught a touchdown on him as. It was a bad ball by the QB. Me personally, I would rotate everybody besides number 2. But
well, I don't know. So I'm not going to second guess the coaches.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to second guess Coach Martindale. Far be it from me. He knows a hell of a lot more about football and the kid than I do. I think there was some frustration on his part, Will Johnson, and I think he wanted to settle him down a little bit, and he came back, and of course he made that. He made up for it with that tremendous pick.
Maybe he does know something.
Will Johnson's going to be fine.
Maybe
Will Johnson's
that's
one of the great players in the country.
That's a good coaching move, though. Think about that. You sit him down for a second. You do this. Now all of a sudden he comes out and he's playing lights out, has the biggest play to end the game. I mean, that people don't think about that. That coach he's working with that kid. He's developing him. Even when he's supposed to be the best player in the league, everyone goes, well, why would you do that? Even me, a coach, I say, hey, why would you do that? Now I think about it, I know exactly why you would do it.
He is not afraid, Coach Martindale, to rotate players.
Yeah.
He believes in the players. You go in, you better play well. Because, he's a results-oriented coach, I'm sure, as all good coaches are. And the results better be good. But he's not afraid, particularly on a hot day, to rotate some players in there. And it's okay. And Will Johnson, it's important that he play and play great. In order to be successful, our seniors and our veteran players have to have their greatest year of football.
Yeah.
And lead on and off the field.
Well,
and I think we have that. People are frustrated with Donovan because he doesn't break a big play. Well, he made some great runs. One got called back. We got a hold.
He made some great
but he also made that catch in the flat. I'm telling you, catch the ball in the flat like that when you're running away from the quarterback is so easy. And I've seen a lot of them dropped. And when Orgy delivered the ball to him, who did a nice job. So, I think that it was a great first game because there was a lot. The best teaching tool a coach has is the tape.
Yeah.
Right, Rob?
It's almost a perfect game for a coach because you won, but you didn't blow them out, and now you can come back and you can correct so much, but you're not down in the season. It's like,
and we are the prohibitive underdog.
Yeah.
Right now, they played a less than challenging team in Colorado State, and the game was done early.
52-10 or 0 or 52-0. Yeah.
And that guy at Colorado State's a good coach, Coach Norville. But that was not the same challenge we faced. So you're right. Sometimes it's better not to just beat somebody that the Little Sisters of the Poor and score up and run up a lot of points and then not realize or be able to tell where you need to improve, make changes if appropriate, if you're a coach, personnel changes, figure out the right people in there, also understand what you can do well and not do well, and also understand how you want to evolve your football. And, there's a package that you put in and then you add as the season goes along. And so what Martindale is going to do is he's looking at Texas and he's going to say, what do they do well? And I'm going to take that away. And so maybe Ewers is going to have to run to beat us.
Hey, he's going to have.
If he runs to beat us, he will get hit, and they close fast.
He's going to have
our defense closes
get out
fast.
of the pocket a little bit. We're going to force him out. We're going to find a way to get him out and run.
So he's not going to let him sit back there and pick us apart.
Well,
which this kid is capable of. Make no mistake about that.
In my number one matchup, coach, and I talked to you about this the other day, I want to see and I think we're going to beat them up. But I want to see our defensive line against their offensive line. I think they have 2 seniors, the rest junior, maybe 3 seniors. The tight end's a senior, and the rest guys are juniors. Everybody that is playing in this game, besides our quarterbacks, have had a lot of snaps of football. You look at the starting lineups, you see junior, senior on both sides of the ball. It's going to be, I can't wait to see our D-line versus their offensive line, and I can't wait to see how our offensive line improves. What about you? I mean, what are you looking for this week? I mean,
I want to see Josiah Stewart get in Ewer's way. Now, one of the things they need to do is rush to his throwing arm.
Yeah.
Rush to the throwing arm. I want to see that. I want to see if they can handle our edge rushers. I want to see who can block Mason Graham, because I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with Grant. They get push and pressure. But Martindale's going to figure out what they do. He's evaluating, they've looked at all last year and this year. He's evaluating what his tendencies are, where he's going to go, and he's got a plan. By the same token, their defensive coordinator is doing the same thing. What can I do to disrupt Michigan? How am I going to stop their running attack and force them into things that they don't do well, which would be right now, throwing the ball deep and mid-level passing. He was accurate throwing the ball short, but we didn't, we had the longest completion was 10 yards, and we have to do better than that. And then Sharon is fixing that lineup, he and Coach Newsom, and getting that corrected so he can do what he believes in doing, and that means we're going to run. Now, he's not going to panic, Sharon Moore. I tell you, he has the patience of Job. He is marvelous at that, much more patient than me, and I respect him greatly for it. And people like that, the patient coaches that just pound, and pound. It's a physical game. It's a martial sport. And at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, you start to beat the opponent up, and you start to dominate them. You destroy their will to win and to play the game. They're coming into Michigan Stadium. Apparently, they're lining up all their fancy cars, which is a mistake. But good for them. I don't have a fancy car, nor do I want one. But they're coming into Michigan Stadium, the hallowed Michigan Stadium, with an unwavering support of a tremendous fan base, the best in college football, the best in sports, in my opinion.
Well, I was going to tell you this. We are number 2 alumni base in the United States. Texas is top 15. Texas is number 1 in merchandise royalties, and we are number 4. So by the numbers go, we have a bigger fan base. We have a bigger alumni.
We have over 600,000, I think, living alumni. So there's nobody has that.
No, Penn State. I looked it up today. Penn State and us go back and forth, and so they're number 1 right now. But then Texas sells more merchandise than anybody because the state of Texas is huge.
Well, they're going to be wearing. I guess they'll wear white. They're not going to wear that burnt orange, which I don't know how they came up with that. It's an unusual color.
Yeah.
But there's a wonderful tradition there.
Yep.
And this game will be decided, and it's being decided right now. It'll be in the minds of the Michigan players, or the Texas players. I talked about preparation. I've always talked about the relationship between motivation and performance. We have to be at a peak. We have to be we have to be unbelievably motivated. At the same time, play within ourselves, not make stupid mistakes. No penalties, no turnovers. No turnovers to this team. If we don't get a first down, then we have to punt them deep and hold them and maintain field position and control field position. But if we can control the ball and keep it out of Ewer's hands, that will be to our great benefit. I don't want our defense on the field all the time. So we can't go 3 and out. We can't have these 3 and outs. We have to have a positive play on every first down. So second down, we can do play action, and we have the option of running or passing, depending on what the defense gives us. So that's how we have to look at it. We're going to take away what they do well defensively, and they're going to try to take away what we do well offensively, but we are going to persevere, and we're going to run the ball, we're going to control it, and then we're going to start to complete some passes.
Yeah.
And then we're going to kick well, and play great defense. And that is what we need to do to win this game. It is a great challenge. We respect Texas greatly. This is a great. People look forward to it ever since it got on the schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. But I think I think we would be premature in making all these sort of assumptions or decisions about who we are, what we aren't, who can play, who can't, just on the basis of the first game. I have seen players develop over a season, to become all Big Ten All-Americans at the end of the season, and they were not close to that at the beginning of the season in terms of technique, performance, and results. So that's all on the coaches, and that's on the kids. Now, we have an attitude. We believe in each other. We're a team. Michigan is a team. We're going to play as a team. And if we do that, as the old coach said, in the end, it will be Michigan. So Texas is coming in here to play a team, and that team is called the University of Michigan, and we look forward to it.
Amen. Got chills. Nothing else to really say there, Coach. I mean, I think that's a great.
All right, line up, will you, Robbie?
Yeah.
Line them up. Let's go. Let's play the game. We're going to play the game, and we're going to do fine.
Hey,
Michigan will be fine.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see the boys. It's going to be a heavy hitter. Everybody's firing all cylinders. Two great coaches. They're both stacked from the inside out. One great quarterback and a couple unprovens. We're gonna go out there and like you said, we're gonna play like a team. So I'm excited for it. Good talking to you about it. Anything else you got before we?
Well, here's what we say. Today, we will play for our teammates. Today, we will play for our families, those people who got us here, those people who helped to get us here. And today, we will play for Michigan. And that's what we're going to do.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.